Volkswagen Sharan, second generation. This is 2012 2-liter TDI Volkswagen Sharan. Today we are going to replace brake pads and brake discs on this car. Despite what it looks like, don't worry, I haven't started without you. I just prepared everything. What I have actually done, I've just removed the wheels and raised the car. First raised the car, removed the wheels, put some chokers behind so it doesn't roll anywhere. Before we start on brakes, there is one thing I need to point out for you, is the jack for this car. This vehicle has quite a lot of ground clearance, so please don't hope to buy this jack and use it, because it can't lift it. But the maximum high is just can't take the wheel off the ground. What I found useful to use is this bottle jack. This particular one can hold 10 ton. It can go quite high. If it's not high enough, you can raise it as high as you can, put the stand, rest it on a stand, drop the jack, undo this thread, because this thread is like this much more, so you can undo the thread as much as you need and then raise it higher and raise the jack. So that's how I got this car on the jacks, on the stands, sorry. And one more thing about this jack on the wheels, ideally they should be in a garage on a flat smooth floor, not on, there is like asphalt here, but it's not good enough. I think this is more reliable and takes less space as well, so I recommend the bottle jack for this car. Normally cars have brake sensors, brake pad sensors in the brake pads to give you warning light when it comes to the sensor. This car has only one brake sensor on the left, nothing on the right, because they're supposed to wear out more or less equally. So first what we do is disconnect the sensor. So there's like a little lever, put the screwdriver in it and then just take it off. To make it come off easier, you put some pressure on it, just push it on, then push this lever to take it off the hook, and then you can easily take it out. Or the other way, if you're struggling, you can see this lever goes all the way here, push the screwdriver here, put it this bit up, and then it comes off this hook. So disconnect the sensor first. Next thing that we need to do is remove the caliper. It held on two bolts, one here and another one down there. There are two ways you can undo these bolts. Let me show you better. They have a star in the middle, so that's T45. You can use either this, either simple 13mm socket. Personally, I prefer 13mm socket. And let's undo it. Once you start undoing it, as you can see, together with the bolt, this nut is spinning. This is 17mm nut, and to stop it from spinning, we'll take 17mm spanner. The little problem I find with this car is that standard 17mm is a bit too thick to fit it, so maybe we can need to push it a bit more. Oh, there we go. Once it's releasing, then you have more space here to fit your spanner. Same story with the bottom bolt. As you can see, nut has started spinning. We need to apply 17mm. It doesn't fit. Just a slight tap, don't break it please. Now once it's released, you can fit it properly and remove this bolt completely out. Once it goes easy, you can do it with your hands. That's one, and another one on the top. Not ready yet. That's it. 2 bolts out. As you can see, 13mm with a star inside. Torque screwdriver T45. Let's put them aside. Another thing I have to point out before you start removing these bolts, maybe some systems can be different. Some cars with the smaller brakes, they have 6mm hex Allen bolt in here, so just get the mirror, see what's in there. If it's something like I have, then do it the way I've done it. What we do next is wiggle the caliper off the brake pads. Let me introduce you to Mr. Caliper. So this is part of the brakes called caliper. This part called piston. This little hose is a brake line with the brake fluid inside. When you press your brakes, brake fluid creates pressure here and it puts brake pads together, squeezes them together here with this piston. Now we need to put this caliper somewhere. We don't want to disconnect brake line, and we don't want you hanging on a brake line because we don't want to give brake line any stress. What most of people do, they take a piece of wire, or like I do, cable tied, and attach it to the spring so it can hang here for some time like that, nice and easy. Now let's take the flathead screwdriver and remove our old brake pads. Pretty worn out, aren't they? Now another thing I need to point out, this is how we go to the brake sensor. Some inner brake pads which are on the inside, they have like metal springs, like a close here, and they go inside this piston like cling. So sometimes when you remove the caliper, don't be afraid if you remove it with the inner brake pad, because sometimes it's not attached to the bracket, but it is attached to the piston. So it goes with like a metal springs, it goes inside. So this one is different, so it's just like that. Next thing I'm gonna do is remove this bracket and remove the disc, because disc is quite bad edges and it's worn out as well. If you're not changing your disc, just you can watch it how I do the disc, or you can just rewind forward to see the pads. The caliper bracket is held by 2 21mm bolts. Let's have a look where they are. Here they are, 1 and 2. These bolts are quite tough. For the torques, amount of torque for every bolt, visit my website, click the link in the description below, or click at the link at the end of the video. You'll get to a full description what I have done with all the numbers. So let's undo these bolts. Really tough. The other thing, we can lay down on the ground and push it. Seriously tough. There we go. Happy days. And the other one. If you are a little bit smarter than I am, you can use some extension I don't think I have any extension here, so I'm gonna deal with what I have. Oh, we can of course turn the steering wheel. There we go. I suppose it's like in human world. Everyone has its own happy position, isn't it? There we go. 1 and 2. Once they loose, you can take them out by hand. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. You can do it, I believe in you. If I can do it. Right, with the bolts out, you can take the bracket out. The other thing is useful to do is to get rid of all this dust on the bracket. Take the metal brush and clean it properly, same as anything else. That's a good point of doing it yourself. I don't think many garages will do it properly for you. Nice and clean as you want it. Now back to the disc. To remove it, it held only by this little T30, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's T30. In the meantime, when you have your wheel on, of course your disc is held not only by this little one is only needed to keep it in place when your wheel is off, so the disc is held together with the wheel by these 5 big bolts. So what we do is just undo this little T30. Try not to damage it, because it's only little T30. Take it out and don't lose it. Sometimes this can be stuck a little bit. Now it's held by nothing, but just by some rust and stiffness. So we use a little bit brutal force. Here we go. This is our old disc. Clean it all again, as you do it for yourself. To prevent this from being stuck in the future, next time you're gonna take your brake disc off, you can apply a little bit of copper grease that can hold high temperature. Now let's have a look at our new brake disc. Comes in a box like this. Quite often brake discs come in a sealed plastic bag, and to prevent corrosion, prevent rusting, they are covered in oil. That's a funny thing, to cover brakes in oil. This is the least thing we want. So to remove that oil, we can use brake and clutch cleaner sold in car parts shops, and just apply it to the disc and clean it properly. Same on the other side. I'm gonna apply a little tiny bit of copper grease onto this little T30 bolt to be thankful to myself. Next time I'm gonna take it out, so I know it won't have any trouble. Just try it. Okay, all good. Now let's put the disc back on. Try not to make your brake disc greasy. So right, you can clean it once again with the brake cleaner once you put it on. There we go. Make sure the disc finds happy position to sit straight, and then tighten up. Not too tight because it's only a little bolt. Let's clean it again properly. Let's put everything back in reverse sequence. Probably noticed I like to put a little bit of lubrication everywhere. Not on the brakes though. Makes it easier. Let's put this bracket back on. To make sure that you're not making any cross thread, try to start every bolt with your hand to make sure that it goes easy and you don't break the thread. Otherwise it's just extra trouble, but we don't want extra trouble. There we go. And now let's apply same amount of brutal force to the bolts to make them tight. For tightening torques, as I said, visit my website, a link in the description and at the end of the video. And here come our new brake pads. Again, keep them clean. Also, what is nice, they come with the new bolts for the caliper, already with the thread lock on it, which is nice. Some brake pads, they have an arrow to point you in direction to make sure you put it right. Some of them can go either way. This one doesn't have an arrow, so we'll just fit it in here. The other one with the sensor will go on the back, same as previous brake pads. All you do, just fit them in these little grooves. You can see on the other side how it works. So you want to fit two springs, spring in this groove, and then do the same for the top. That's it, it's in. Let's take the inner brake pad, same story, fit it in. Bottom bit and then the top bit. There we go. Now, as you have noticed, new brake pads are much thicker because they're not worn out yet. Brake disc is also new, so everything, all this bit is thicker. To fit the caliper on it, which is this bad boy, we need to push this cylinder all the way back in. You can't do it with your hand because it's too tough. I'm gonna use special tool. Some garages take it simple and they take like a massive pliers and just squeeze it back in, which is also a way to do it. To do it a little bit better way, you can use caliper rewinding tool. This tool I have I have only this size, so as you can see it goes inside. So when you'll be shopping around, maybe find something with a bigger size, but I think this tool is still good enough to do this job. So the way it works, as you can see, just a sec, it presses here, and then as you turn the thread, you just push this caliper back in. As you spin this, it pushes piston back in. Before you start pushing, one more thing I need to mention. Because you're pushing brake liquid back, this is your brake fluid tank. It's good to open the cap to release any possible pressure, because fluid might go up. If you have normal level, it shouldn't go out so much. Just put some tissues, because brake fluid is corrosive outside, so just in case if it spills a little bit over. But you just open the cap with your brake liquid tank, just to release pressure, so you can easier push brake liquid back. Now I've pushed this piston back in as far as it goes, and maybe for a little bit more happiness, we'll apply some copper grease to make it easier to put it on. But this wide should be enough to go over it. Let's take our scissors and try not to twist it. So make sure you put caliper same way as it was, not twisting it, because it still, again, it can do some stress to your brake line. Here we go. Now let's take one of these new bolts and put it in, trying to catch the thread. There we go. One, and another one at the bottom. Now with our favorite combination, 17mm spanner and the 13mm socket, make it back tight again. Once it got tight, you don't really need to hold it, so just tighten it up. Not too tight this one, not as tight as the bracket. And same for the bottom. I'm not gonna show you this, but just do the bottom. With everything back on, make sure you didn't jam while you're doing it. Don't jam the sensor wire, and just put it back on till it clicks. Click. Now let's have a look what's going on here. As you can see, some of the liquid came out, so I'm gonna take it out and clean any possible spillages, because brake fluid, as we know, is corrosive. That was a spy. Now he knows something about brakes. Make sure you don't leave brake fluid anywhere. Keep it clean and put the cap back on. Do the same for the other wheel, and then put the wheels on, lower the car, and before you go, don't forget to pump the brake. I'm gonna show you what I mean. Now the wheels are back on, car is back on the ground. What we're gonna do, as you remember, we push the piston all the way back, so now if you press the brakes they won't really work because there will be some movement of piston to squeeze the brake pads. So let's help it before we go anywhere. Start the engine and press your brake pad I mean brake pedal a few times firmly till it pumps up, so we know this piston just squeezes these brakes so they work as we go. And when you move, still test it, move, test it, and eventually they go back to normal. That's it. Thank you for watching. More stuff about this car, some other cars, see my website wilsonmotors.com. I'll see you there. Cheers, bye.